My name is Waffles, and I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator, and this is the last 24 hours in the news. Today is August 9th, 2025. It is 3:24 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Here are the top U.S. news highlights for the past 24 hours. A federal appeals court upheld a Texas law requiring ID numbers for mail-in ballots, a notable setback for civil rights groups. Leaked drafts indicate the Trump administration plans to significantly scale back criticism of human rights in State Department country reports, omitting concerns about abuses that have been taking place in Russia, Israel, and El Salvador. A Reuters investigation reveals rapid expansion of the neo-Nazi Aryan Freedom Network, which has doubled its chapters since 2023. Experts warn Trump's rhetoric and pardons for Capitol rioters may have emboldened such extremist activity. In Michigan, strict crackdown on homeless encampments are escalating. Enforcement actions, including ticketing and lawsuits, are pushing individuals into remote areas. Advocates warn these punitive approaches undermine proven housing-first strategies. Trump's administration is consolidating federal control in politically contentious states, seeking arrest warrants for Democratic legislators in Texas, challenging racial profiling restrictions, and reshaping census inclusion policies. Additionally, there's a push to host a peace signing for Armenia, Azerbaijan, and moves suggesting potential federal overreach in D.C. governance. U.S. Customs and Border Protection may impose a 39% tariff on Swiss gold bullion bars after reclassification in tariff codes, prompting a surge in gold futures and signaling potential supply chain disruptions. I don't know what tariff codes are. I am unaware of that being a thing that ever existed. I don't know. But he is fucking out of control with the tariffs. No significant public health updates have surfaced in the past 24 hours. President Trump announced plans to meet with Vladimir Putin in Alaska on August 15th, hinting a possible peace deal. We all know that's not likely to happen, involving territorial concessions. Even amid international skepticism, faith leaders in South Carolina are mobilizing to support immigrants facing deportation, providing legal guidance, material aid, and emotional support amid heightened enforcement actions. All major indexes closed higher yesterday, Friday, marking a strong performance across the board. The Nasdaq hit a record closing high, gaining approximately 1%. S&P gained 0.8%, coming very close to its recent all-time high. Dow Jones rose by 0.5%, continuing positive momentum. For those of you who are visual learners, here is the stock market close for Friday. This is the S&P 500. This is the Dow Jones. And this is Invesco QQQ. My bigger concern is that the stock market's not been stable. That's great. We had another update. We'll probably make it up for losses that have happened. I'm not looking at the long-term comparison. And then U.S. stock index futures climbed as investors anticipated that the Federal Reserve could follow a more dovish path after President Trump nominated Stephen Moran to temporarily replace outgoing Fed governor, the one he fired, who reported the jobless numbers, and President Trump got butthurt and fired this lady, so this guy's going to be replacing her. Adriana Kugler, the person replacing her, is Stephen Moran. This reshuffle increases the likelihood of rate cuts, possibly beginning next month, with expectations of at least 2 cuts by year end. Futures showed gains. S&P 500E minus plus 0.25%, Nasdaq 100 minus plus 0.31%, Dow E minus plus 0.14%. And just remember, if they decide to slash the rates, if they decide to slash interest rates because Trump wants to throw a temper tantrum and bully the Federal Reserve, it could tank the economy in the long run. It could have very long-term consequences that are incredibly horrible for the economy. Oil set for steepest weekly losses since June. Oil markets are poised for their sharpest weekly decline since June, primarily due to renewed concerns over global demand sparked by newly implemented U.S. tariffs. As of Friday morning in Asia, Brent crude held at $66.4 per barrel, $66.40, tracking a weekly drop of over 4%, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude was slightly down at $63.82 a barrel, facing a weekly loss of over 5%. The decline follows the enactment of higher U.S. tariffs on Thursday, targeting multiple trade partners, which analysts warn could dampen economic activity and reduce demand for oil. U.S. gold futures surged to a record high on Friday after a report that Washington has imposed tariffs on imports of 1 kilogram bullion bars, sending investors seeking safe haven assets. Dollar heads for weekly loss on dovish Fed expectations. The dollar firmed slightly on Friday, but was heading for a weekly fall as weakening economic data led traders to price in the possibility of the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates in the near future. U.S. equity funds see sharp outflows on tariff caution, economic concerns. U.S. investors divested riskier equity funds and significantly invested in the safety of money market funds in the week through August 6th amid concerns of the impact of new tariffs and economic uncertainty. India pauses plans to buy U.S. arms after Trump's tariffs. In response to new U.S. tariffs, India has paused its plans to acquire American military equipment, marking its first clear sign of its dissatisfaction with recent U.S. trade policies. President Trump's imposition of an additional 25% tariff on Indian goods, raising the total duty to 50%, was prompted by India's continued oil imports from Russia, which Trump argues supports Moscow's war in Ukraine. As a result, India canceled a planned visit by Defense Minister Rajnath Singh to Washington, where key defense deals, including the purchase of Boeing P-81 aircraft, Stryker vehicles, Javelin missiles, were expected to be announced. Here is the U.S. hazardous weather outlook for the next couple of days. West Coast and Southwest extreme heat in California. Major heat risk persists through the weekend for inland valleys and the mountains, with temperatures ranging from 100 degrees to 114 in desert areas. Oregon heat wave. Expect very hot conditions this weekend and into next week with little to no relief during the overnight hours. Southeast and Gulf Coast, coastal flooding in North Carolina. Minor coastal flooding is possible along area beaches and the lower Cape Fear River, including downtown Wilmington during the evening high tide. Heat advisory in Louisiana. Heat advisory will go into effect at 11 a.m. Saturday through 7 p.m. Saturday evening for portions of the area. Heat index values will range between 105 degrees to near 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Midwest and central U.S. thunderstorms in Arkansas isolated to widely scattered showers, and thunderstorms will return to the forecast for portions of the area over the weekend into next week, mainly during the afternoon and early evening hours. Flash flooding risk in Missouri. Heavy rainfall is possible, leading to flash flooding. Plains and high plains, fire weather concerns in Texas. Critical fire weather conditions are possible due to high temperatures and low humidity. Here are the key international news highlights from the past 24 hours. Israel has initiated a ground operation at taking over Gaza City, marking significant escalation of its ongoing conflict. This move has drawn international concern over potential humanitarian impacts and the broader implications for regional stability. The United States has imposed a 50% tariff on Indian imports in response to India's continued purchase of Russian oil. This decision has led to a halt in U.S.-India defense procurement discussions and has significant economic implications for both nations. Transport accidents in Kenya. 2 separate transport accidents in Kenya have resulted in at least 10 fatalities. These incidents highlight ongoing concerns regarding road safety and infrastructure challenges in the region. Court ruling on Zambian former president's burial. A Zambian court has resolved a 2-month dispute over the body and burial of former President Edgar Lungu. The ruling has ended a prolonged legal and political standoff following the final rights to proceed. In additional news, space and science, NASA's asteroid flybys. NASA has issued an alert regarding 2 sizable asteroids making close flybys of Earth. MAGA's probably going to try to convince their base that aliens are visiting, and hopefully we don't see another alien invasion, which I would assume the alien invasion that probably took place already was an illegal alien invasion, probably from Russia, based on what I'm seeing on the maps. I'm just expressing my thoughts and my opinions based on my observations. Despite their massive sizes, NASA has confirmed that there is zero threat of either asteroid impacting the planet. The announcement has intrigued scientists and space enthusiasts alike, highlighting the importance of tracking near-Earth objects and EOs for planetary defense and advancing our understanding of the solar system. President Donald Trump's administration is moving to shut down 2 critical NASA missions that monitor carbon dioxide emissions and plant health. I'm a landscaper. I've actually used this tool before. It shows you how well areas are growing. These missions, what it does, there's stuff that reads the foliage from outer space. It's really cool. These missions, the Orbiting Carbon Observatory 2 OCO2 and the OCO3 instrument on the International Space Station, provide essential data for climate science and agriculture. Despite being labeled as past their prime, experts argue these satellites offer unparalleled precision in tracking global climate changes, including key findings like the Amazon rainforest emitting more CO2 than it absorbs. Is that why we're taking it down? Is because Trump's friends with Bolsonaro, and Bolsonaro tried to cash in on slash and burning the rainforest? Is there additional plans for doing harm to Brazil? That's just what I'm wondering. I mean, I don't see how somebody who has all of these felonies and has been convicted for SA and is doing all these horrible things, and we're watching panic as people are being snatched off of the streets and nobody can afford to eat. I just don't see how this individual is up to any good, and I am unable to perceive him as being up to any good. So then I'm personally, just based on my observations here, assuming that, are we trying to hide that there's slash and burn operations going on? Are we trying to hide that on the rainforest? Is that why you want to get rid of the satellite? I'm just wondering. The proposed shutdown has raised concerns among scientists and policymakers about the loss of vital data for understanding and addressing climate change. Loss of critical climate data. These satellites provide the most precise real-time measurements of global carbon dioxide levels, and apparently if somebody's slash and burning the fuck out of the rainforest, you can see it on the fucking satellite. Data essential for tracking how much greenhouse gas in the atmosphere and how it's changing. Without this, scientists lose a vital tool for understanding the progression of climate change, or who may be emitting a bunch of fucking carbon dioxide. Undermines climate science. The satellites help reveal critical phenomena such as carbon sources and sinks, like the Amazon rainforest roll. Losing this data weakens the scientific basis for policy and action on climate change, making it harder to craft effective responses. risks to agriculture and environmental monitoring. OCO3's ability to assess plant health helps in managing ecosystems and food security. Removing it undermines efforts to monitor environmental changes that affect millions. Signals political interference over science. This move reflects political priorities that ignore or deny realities, favoring short-term interests over long-term planetary health. It's part of a broader pattern of dismantling environmental protection, so then you can just, breathe in pollution and get cancer. A lot of Americans have cancer. Global leadership impact. The U.S. stepping back from such scientific efforts diminishes its leadership role in climate research and international cooperation on environmental issues. In short, canceling these missions not only hampers science, but also undercuts the urgent global effort to combat climate change, risking greater environmental and economic damage down the line. My name is Waffles. This has been the last 24 hours in the news. It is 4 o'clock a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Today is August 9th, 2025.
So the Olympics is great. And Johnny, for the others, the World Cup, Johnny is the head of it. We had our top people, Wasserman. They all came in on the Olympics, and then I saw Johnny. And we got the World Cup, too. And, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there. I got both of them. I got the Olympics, and I got the World Cup. And I said, it's too bad. One was in 2026, and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president. But then they rigged the election, and now we won, so I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup. So, Johnny, thank you for the World Cup, and everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time.
Hey, guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on my videos. And also, don't forget to check out my shop where you could get this awesome Real Patriots Punch Nazis t-shirt. America, fuck yeah! And if you go to the link tree in my bio on most platforms, it's got links to everything, all of my stuff. You can find my shop there. I'm on eBay. You can also get this cool Exterminate MAGA sticker, because MAGA's fucking cockroaches. And fuck MAGA. Abolish MAGA. Fuck you, MAGA.